Hello, good morning to everyone. I hope you're doing all right. It's dry, but a little bit overcast today, so I look like I'm sitting in the dark. I hope you're okay. I hope the weather's nice, or at least dry where you are, and I hope you've had a really nice weekend because it's Monday again. So today I'm going to be making a full suite of jewellery with you. So I'm going to be using some beautiful beads. They are shell discs and they're dyed in the most gorgeous colours. They've got like a lovely iridescence to them, really, really pretty. So I'm going to be making a necklace in lots of different designs. I'm going to be showing you how you can change them up so you can make whichever design suits you. So we put lots and lots of lovely little bits in your kit today. You're also going to get bracelets and earrings as well, so you will get a full suite of jewellery. I'll show you quickly a couple of the designs that I've done. So it is just straight stringing with the lovely spacers and these lovely shell discs, and then I'm just going to use a little head pin or ball pin really just to make it kind of like a little pendant feature. But you don't just have to do one, you can add multiple drops. Let's pop this straighter on the bust. And you can do lots of things with them. So you should get about 40 pieces of these in your kit, there or thereabouts. So have a little think about how you'd like to design. I'd say probably the necklace first, and then what you've got left over you can use for your pair of earrings. You don't have to add those on if you don't want to. You could just use the lovely shell discs by themselves. I'll show you them down on the mat and you can see them on the website as well. And then anything left over, you've got to make a bracelet. There's a couple of designs that I've done again differently with the bracelet. If I got to the point where I thought I didn't have enough and it wasn't quite long enough, I'm just going to make a little extension chain using some of those jump rings. So lots of lovely colours for you today. I'm going to say a quick good morning to you all. So drop me a comment, how you doing? Let me know where you're watching from, what's the weather like, what have you been making? And then I'll take you over to the website and show you the kits that we've put together for you. So Lisa's in. She says, good morning, Natalie and all. Rachel's in from a cloudy Barrow. Good morning to Jan, who says, good morning, Natalie and Beading family from a bright and sunny Sudbury. Well, with that, Jan, the sunshine's just started to come out behind the clouds. Good morning to Camille. She says, did you have fun and sell any goodies over the weekend? I did. I had like a holistic fair, so a little bit of a craft fair. I don't really do in-person selling very often, and I often feel like I, try and give you advice when you ask about things. So I felt like I knew what I was doing, but hadn't really had that much experience doing it myself. But it was a really, really lovely day. Lots of lovely ladies there taking part, and we did some yoga and meditation and lots of different workshops. It was very nice, just nice to be together. I'll be honest, I'm aching a little bit today. Need to exercise more. Good morning to Emmeline. She's in as well. I hope you're well. Anastasia's saying peace and love from Atlanta in Georgia. Camille says these are very Aztec looking. I think it's the spacers, isn't it? They've got somebody, when I give them a little sneak peek last week, said they were quite Greek. I think looking was, well, I think that's what they said, or Greek or Roman, but it is that lovely little spacer design. It's kind of like a Tibetan silver, so I'll show you those. They're very pretty to work with. And I like the contrast with these between the shapes. So you've got those lovely circular shaped disc shell beads, and then you've got your kind of square spacers. So I think it gives a nice contrast. Good morning to Carol. Hello to Tracy. Good morning to Kath. How are you doing, Mum? Susan's in as well. Elaine's in. Ellie's in as well. She's saying good morning. Sunny here in Kirby. So yeah, send it this way, Ellie. Good morning to Joanne. Camille says it was raining earlier, but sunny blue skies now. Joanne's saying the sun's trying to come out in Coventry and hope everybody had a lovely weekend. Good morning to Debbie. And we've also got Sally in as well, who's wishing everybody a good morning. She said they had a stormy weekend, but it's calmer in Torbay. And Anne's wishing everybody a good morning as well. So lots of you in, which is lovely. Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, Joanne said they look Greek and Roman, and I knew somebody did. So let me take you over to the website first. So we are on totallybeads.co.uk. Hello, Caroline. I hope you're well. She's in Brixham. She says she's caught alive. Yay. Well, so glad that you're with us. So head over to totallybeads.co.uk. This is our wonderful website. You can see if you need to change your currency, you can do so here at the top of the page. We ship rather worldwide, and you can get your hands on your kits by heading into the video tutorial category here on the main menu. There's one with our faces on as well, or you can head into jewellery making and scroll into the video tutorial section that way. So today, where is it? There it is, the Shayla shell jewellery. So as I say, you are getting a necklace, a bracelet and a pair of earrings. But it's up to you how you choose to design these. They will, vary depending on how you put them together. So I'm not going to say you're going to need exactly this amount of this for the necklace. You can just play around with the design. But as you can see, I've managed to get all 3 pieces of jewellery out of each kit. So they're all £6.99 for a full suite of jewellery. I think is a very good offer. You've got the beautiful blue, the lovely brown, a charcoal grey, a fuchsia, an olive green, which I think I'm going to demo for you today because it's really pretty. And we've also got a tan as well, which I haven't got a sample of here. That's in the warehouse, so you can see how these look and how I put them together. So I've designed each of them slightly different. If I show you the lovely blue one, you can see here that I'm just using those lovely, gorgeous acrylic spaces to make focal points in the feature of the necklace. I'll show you it here as well on the bust. And you can see I've just added, there's a bit of a delay on my mouse there. Just got a random magnifying glass. I've done the earrings really simply, just on ball pins with little wrap loops. And in terms of how to create those pendants, I've just put one full strand of tiger tail, about 60 centimeters of your tiger tail, running through the main body of the necklace, and I've just added on those lovely little drops in between. So what I would suggest is you start from the middle and work outwards on this design, so you can kind of get that symmetry on both sides as you go, and you can play around with the design as and when you wish. So maybe in terms of tools, a bead stopper could be quite handy as well to stop them falling off the end if you needed to, but not necessary. I'm just using 2 pairs of pliers to open up the jump rings, a pair of round nose pliers to create a little wrap loop or a turned loop, some cutters to cut my tiger tail. I think that's about it in regards to the tools. So in your kit, you're going to get those gorgeous shell disc beads. You're getting your acrylic spaces, your tiger tail, your lobster clasp, your crimp beads, callottes, jump rings, head pins, and your earring hooks as well. So everything you need to make that lovely suite of jewellery, which will make a necklace, a bracelet, and a pair of earrings. Now you can see here when I've made my bracelet, I wanted it to be a little bit longer, so I've just added extra jump rings out of my stash to create that little bit of a chain, and then I've created a little dangle using just that spacer. If you have a scroll down, you can see exactly what we're using in terms of those acrylic spacers. They are square, they are 8mm in size. They've got that lovely swirl on the front of them, and there should be about 40 pieces in your kit. I have had the odd one which has had 39 in. You might get one that's got 41 in, but there should be enough to make all of your jewellery. And your shell disc beads are beautiful. They're 11mm in size. They are dyed, and they've got this colourway's got the most beautiful blue on it. I really love the colour of that. But you can see because the shell, you've got those kind of waves, that kind of lovely pattern on them, a little bit mother of pearly, particularly I'd say the green ones, just lovely, got a lovely kind of iridescent sheen on them, and I'll show you them down on the mat so you can see exactly what I mean. So that one is the blue colourway. We've got the brown as well for you, which is gorgeous. Love this, very autumnal. Exactly the same items in your kit, just in a different colour. So I will show you how that looks on the bust. I've just created one drop in between there, and you will have like a different direction on the swirls, so you can put them on a random order. They are the same front and back, but obviously the way you put them on will depend which direction that swirl goes, so you can be particular about that if you want to be. And you can see here we've got those lovely brown disc beads, and again you're using all of the same findings in the kit. They're all going to be rhodium plated, which are going to match the kind of antique silver look of the acrylic spaces as well. This is the charcoal grey, which is gorgeous, really, really lovely. And they're all going to be slightly different because they are natural shell. They are dyed, but you've got that, you can see there, you've got some beautiful kind of banding kind of ripple effects on some of them. So all different, all unique, and all very, very beautiful. So that one is the charcoal grey. It's kind of like a mix, I would say, between the, it's got a bit of like a blue tone to it. But yeah, it's charcoal grey, that's why they've called it such. And then we've got the fuchsia pink as well. I might do this design today. So I've just created that little drop, just using that little ball pin. And you can add that as you go, or you could squeeze it on through at the end once you've connected your findings to it if you wanted to. I've just been changing up the order in which I put those spaces. So you've got your beautiful fuchsia there. And then we also have, there's just loads of them, this gorgeous olive green. As I say, I think this is my favourite today. I'm liking the kind of autumnal colours. So that's how it looks. Looks like a little smiley face, the way I've laid that out. And then there is just simple stringing, no kind of dangles on this one. But they sit nice and flat and they sit really comfortably around your neckline. So of course, if you wanted to, you know, make this a really long line necklace, you don't have to add the bracelet in. You could just have, you could make it even over the head if you wanted to. And then this gorgeous tan colour as well, which again, really autumnal, quite Halloweeny. Looks like a pumpkin burnt orange to me. So that is how that one looks. So lots of colours to choose from. They are all £6.99. You're going to get enough to make a necklace, a bracelet, and a pair of earrings. So drop me a comment, let me know which one do you like the look of the most. Would you do a different design with it? How would you put these together? It's the joy of creating something like this. You know, there's no rules to it. You just do whatever you want. Emmeline says she loves the fuchsia. Camille says she likes the tan one. Joanne says she can't choose. All those colours are stunning. Well, you can multi-buy if you want to. I think they'd look quite nice if you mix them up. I'd probably mix up the brown and the green. Might look really lovely together. And then the fuchsia and the blue would look really vibrant. Susan says she loves the blue and the tan. So I'm going to take you down on the mat, and you can see I've shown you them on the bust, so you can see how they look when worn, which is how jewellery is meant to be presented. But you can see here the different colours. So these are just the bracelets that I've put together. You've got this gorgeous charcoal grey. They do flip, and they are all you know, the same on both sides, but you'll see if you have a little look at the spaces, if I turn one and not the other, they're the same on both sides. But of course, how you choose to put that swirl, if you want to put them in the same direction, is up to you. This one is the beautiful blue. Let's get a little bit of focus because my mat's so busy with all sorts. Struggling to focus a little bit. Love the colour of that, really pretty. I can't show you the tan one because I don't have that. This one is the brown though, so you can see the patterns. They look like water droplets. Really gorgeous shell beads. I don't think I've used these for anything before. This is the fuchsia. Gorgeous pink, and you can see because they're slightly domed on those shell discs, they really catch the light very, very nicely. You can see my ring light in between there, that's how shiny it is. And then these, which I just love the colour of those. So they're the colours that I've got here for you. As I say, you can do a straight stringing with it, and you can just decide how you would like to order your beads. You can pop them down and make a little dangle in between. So that's just created on an eye pin, and then you can place them either in between the spaces or in between the disc beads. They do fit. It's just because it's laying flat that it's not quite sitting as I'd like it to show you. And then I'll show you these ones too, which are on my bust. So I've just placed those in between to create that dangle. And you can add as many, spaces onto that dangle and beads as you wish. We're using a 50mm ball pin today, so there should be enough to be able to play around with the pendant and the design. So let's get making. Really straightforward, simple make. I'm going to make the necklace today, and I'll possibly make a pair of earrings as well. I won't do a bracelet. It is, just straight stringing with the bracelet. All I would say is when you are attaching your findings on the bracelet, do create that curve and shape so you know you've got that tension right and it sits lovely. If you feel it's a little bit small, then you can always create a simple chain. If you haven't got an extended chain, you can create one with your jump rings. And I've just added one of those little swirls onto the bottom so you can see how that looks. Or just create it with your findings, which will be your Callotte, your Crimp Beads, and your lobster clasp. Your lobster clasp is 12mm, so not too fiddly. Nice one to a good size, I think. So they're all going to be rhodium, your findings as well, so they will match those Tibetan spaces. So I'm going to start off by taking my Tigertail, which is lots of fine pieces of wire in a nylon coating. So it's nice and strong and durable, but it's got a lovely flex to it. And I'm going to cut 60 centimetres of that, which is about 24 inches for those who work in inches. And I'm just going to cut that off my reel. Now, again, it might have a little bit of a curl to it. I like working with that curl because it's got that shape that I'm after. But if it is particularly, kinky, you can run that through your fingers and you can straighten that out if you need to. So I'm just going to start really by deciding what type of pattern I'd like to make. So I do want to create a dangle drop on this one. So I'm just going to take one of my ball pins. And again, I'm going to just straighten that out through my fingers a little bit if it's got a little bit of a bend and a kink in it. And the ball pins I find really nice because you've got that little ball tip finish on it, which just adds, that kind of additional decorative element to whatever it is that you're making. If it's a head pin, it will be flat and that will fit right up against the bead and you probably won't see it. The ball pin, make sure that it doesn't fall through. So whether you're going to pop your acrylic spacer on the bottom or the top, it will fit really nicely in there. They're gorgeous colours together, actually, aren't they? Liking that. So yeah, I'm just going to take my ball pin. It's nice and strong, but also easy enough if you want to create a wrapped loop. I'm not going to create a wrapped loop for my pendant. I'm just going to do a turned loop, but for my earrings, I probably will do wrapped loops. So I'm just going to decide what I want to do with it. I'm going to take my gorgeous shell discs off the strand. So I'm just going to cut open my strand. And you get loads on these, to be honest. I've not counted how many, but you can see they are all beautiful and that gorgeous, gorgeous shape. I'm kind of tempted to make a mixture now and use two different colours. I'll stick to what I've got. So I'm going to pop on my beautiful shell bead and I'm going to drop that right down to the bottom of the pin. And then I'm going to take out one of my lovely acrylic spacers, which are nice and chunky, but really light because they're acrylic. So if you're making, earrings, you'll forget that you're wearing them because they're so lightweight. Camille saying, oh, go on. You're tempting me. Doesn't take much, does it, to tempt me? Go on then. I'll do a mix. Right. So then I'm just going to pop on my acrylic bead, and I'm going to consider which way round I want that spiral to go, because of course you could put it on that way or that way. And if I'm making earrings, I'll probably put them on symmetrical, so they would be like facing the same direction, or I could do like a mirror image, I suppose. I'm then going to pop another one of those shell discs on, and I'm going to go for the blue one. And then I'm just going to turn my pin. So to turn my pin, not doing a wrap loop, just a turned loop, I'm going to give it a little bend. Now I want this to fit over my tiger tail, so I'm going to bend it forward so it's going towards me. And then I'm going to cut off, leaving roughly about 1 centimetre from the top of that bead from the bend. So I'm just going to put my fingers over the end of the pin so it doesn't fire away. And then I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to pop the pliers in. I only need a small loop, and I'm going to make sure that that is nice and flush so it's not sticking out the other side, because that will turn all of the pin. I'm going to hold on to the beads at the bottom, give it a little flick towards me just to put that turn in, reposition my hand so now my knuckles are facing away, and then with little tiny rotations of my wrist, I'm just going to turn that pin so it's sitting nice and straight. And I want to make sure that it's fully closed. A wrap loop's good for making sure it's fully closed and it's not going to slide off, but providing that curve of the pin is touching the other side on that loop, we should be okay that it's not going to slide off my tiger tail. So I'm going to slide that on to begin with, and because I'm not too sure on my design, I'm going to work from the inside out. If I knew exactly what I was doing, I'd probably put my findings on first, which would act as a little stopper, and then I would work all the way around. But I find when I'm designing something on the go, it's easier to just kind of slide it on and then work off both sides. So I'm going to add 2 of my lovely shell discs. So I'm going to add 1 onto each side, and then I've got that symmetry on my design. And I'm just deciding whether to maybe put 3 of the blue or the green on. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put the blue on those, so I've created a little trio of the same colour. And this is the nice thing about when you're doing a stringing project. You can change it up as you go. If you think, actually, I'd rather put that there or this here, then you can just slide them off again. It's nice and way to be creative. So that's going to sit close together to create that little cluster, I suppose, around that pin. Now they will move out as I'm making until I put my findings on and fasten them all on together. So I think I'm going to go for the spacers again. And I'm not going to be too concerned which way I put these on. I'm just going to slide them on in any direction, I think. So they've got a nice large drill hole, so your tiger tail will fit through them really easily. Good morning, Yolanda. Hope you're well. I'm now going to just add on more of my shell discs. And you can play around with the pattern. Obviously, I'm using 2 colours here, so I've got even more to play with in terms of the design. I think I might put 2 of them on, and you might find that these vary as well in kind of thickness. That one is quite a chunky one. It's almost like a coin bead. They're really gorgeous. And I just like the contrast of having the square shape with the round, really. This one has got really lovely, it looks like it's cracked, it's not, it's just, if you can see, like kind of the divot on it. So we are using natural shell here, and they are dyed in these beautiful colours. And then I'm just going to keep alternating just to pop on my spaces. So if you wanted to add more of these on, you definitely could. You know, I could add another drop in between there if I wanted to with the ball pins. That might would look probably quite nice as well. I'm then going to go for I think maybe just one of the blue. And then another of my acrylic spaces. So whatever I'm putting onto one side, I'm just putting onto the other, and that's going to create that symmetry. But you can see I'm not really paying much attention to how I'm threading on those acrylic spaces. So I've got some where that kind of tail end is facing up, some which are facing down. You can do whatever you want with them. I don't think I need to be too particular, but if you want to be, you can be. I think I'm going to go for another 2 of the green. And you can make an extender chain for your necklace as well if you want to. If you haven't got extender chains or a little bit of additional chain to attach on, you can do that with the jump rings as well. I tend to find that if you're using your callotte and your jump rings to attach for your fastening, then that lends itself really well to create, you know, that extra length with an extended chain. And it's nice to finish with either a shell disc or one of your spaces, just to add that additional embellishment onto it. So I'm going to keep sliding on these. So I'm just kind of alternating. I haven't got a particular pattern in mind. If you do want to follow, you know, one of mine particularly, then you can have a little look at the website. They're all slightly different. And you could, if you wanted, just attach lots of the spaces together. If you want to put them on together, then they'll kind of fit on nicely. Or you could just straight string on your acrylic spaces. Maybe I'll add a few of the shell disc beads rather. I might actually do a little section those together. So they've got like a patinaed look to it, really, these acrylic spaces. You'll see they're quite a shiny silver, and then it's kind of darkened inside that channel. So it catches the light really nice, but they're super, super light. Just going to move that down a little bit. And then I think I'm going to go for another blue. So a nice, easy beginner project. Again, they make lovely gifts and they're quick to make, so you can make yourself a full suite of jewellery in no time. I think I'll probably I might work back and do a similar pattern to finish. So I'll add another acrylic spacer on. And then I'm going to go for the 2 green coloured ones. Just making sure I'm working off both sides and alternating, so it's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing than just putting them on any which way. Put a couple of those up. So I've made the necklaces first, and then I have done my bracelet and my earrings afterwards, because I figured I wanted to make sure I had enough of whatever design I was going for with the necklace first. Move that down a little bit so you can see. So I've gone for the blue, and then I'm going to put on an extra 2 of the green. And you can finish with your shell bead, or you can finish with the acrylic spacers. They both sit nicely against your calotte. So on some of the necklaces like this one, I've finished with those, and with this one as well, I've put a couple of those together. So I'm going to finish with 2 green and then a spacer, I think. So you can see you could probably make the necklace up in about 10-15 minutes. The longest part of it will be just deciding what order you want to string your beads on. I think I'll finish with 2. And then when I'm happy with the length that I've got, I'm going to pop my findings on. If you want at this point, you can pop a bead stopper onto one end, and then that will just stop your beads from sliding off. But what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to move them all the way up and work on that end. So first of all, I'm going to get my callotte out of my kit, and I'm going to slide that onto the end of the tiger tail. So the 2 little loops at the end of my callotte are going to be facing that way, like outwards this way round, and I can attach my jump ring on through them. So I'm going to pop on my callotte. This is going to hide my crimp beads, so it's going to make my necklace nice and secure, but you won't see any of those like fastenings, I suppose. And then I'm going to take 2 of my crimp beads, because I'll double crimp and that will make it extra sturdy. And I'm not going to crimp them with crimp pliers because they're going to be hidden in the callotte anyway. I'm just going to slide it up to the very tip of the tiger tail, and I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on. You can see that's just flattening that crimp bead, and then I'll slide the next one right up next to it as well and press down. So that's now trapping the tiger tail inside, and it'll stop anything sliding off. And then I'm going to slide up the callotte, so those crimp beads are going to sit inside of it. I'll fold it over with my fingers first, just to line it up. And when I'm happy they're pretty level with each other, I'm going to put a tiny bit of pressure just on the top of that kind of domed part of the callotte, and that will close it over. So you can see they're almost perfectly lined up now, so that hole is clear running through both of them, so I can get my jump ring in. And then I'm going to push up and slide my beads. I'm now creating a kind of curved shape to my necklace, and I do the same with the bracelet as well. So I'm just popping my hand around to kind of make sure that all of those acrylic spacers and disc beads are sitting flat, and that's going to get a nice shape and a nice tension. It's also, if I can just slide it up a little bit more so you can see this bit, it's making sure that these are sitting fairly flush together as well. If it's twisted, then it's not going to get the right shape and tension for me. So I just kind of flatten it around with my hands, and I'm making sure that it's all nice and it's got that curving, which is how I'm going to want it to sit when I'm wearing it. I'm going to lower it down a bit just so you can see me do this part in shot. I'll take off my bead stopper, and then I'm going to take my other callotte and pop that again on the end, and that's going to face outwards. So I'm putting it on this way, not this way. If it goes on back to front, I'm not going to be able to attach that onto anything. So I'm just going to slide it on that way. And then I'm going to take 2 more crimps out of my kit. I always double crimp, and then if one was to fail, the other should still hold it tight. So I'm going to slide 1 crimp bead on first, and then with my pliers I'm going to come right inside. So I want to make sure that the crimp bead is right down inside the callotte, and again my necklace is kind of in the order it should be sitting. I'm going to press down, and then once I've kind of got it in place, I'll lift it up a little bit closer just to make sure it's fully flattened and fully secured. I'll then pop my next crimp bead on and let that drop right down so it's sitting on top. And I'll do the same. So I'm just taking my pliers, just pressing quite firmly around that crimp to flatten it. I can then cut off any of my excess tiger tail, or if you want to, you can run that back down and run it back through the beads. That sometimes can add an extra bit of sturdiness to your make. So you're just going to go through where the callotte is and push it back down through the drill hole in the callotte and in the beads. And you can run that all the way back through if you wanted to. Just make sure that you cut off. Don't necessarily feel like you need to do that with this because they are nice and light, but it's there anyway and you can't see any of that excess. And then I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to close the callotte over the crimp beads so the crimp beads are inside of it. I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure onto that domed bit. So that's now fully closed. So this is my necklace all ready to go. I just need to add on my findings onto the end. So to do that, I'm going to take 2 jump rings out and my lobster clasp as well. And I'm going to take 2 pairs of pliers just to open up my jump rings. So just move that slightly out of the way and hopefully we can get a bit of focus on that. So I'm going to use some chain nose and some flat nose. And I'm going to take my jump ring and find the little opening. So where those 2 ends meet. If you can see, just holding that upwards so it's a bit staggered. And then I'm going to take my other pair of pliers, and my dominant hand is going to be the hand that moves. So this is holding onto the jump ring, this left hand of mine, and I'm just going to turn it a little bit just to open it up. I don't need to open it up loads, just a couple of millimeters, and then I can attach that on to the loops at the top of the callotte, and then I can also attach on my lobster clasp by just threading that through onto the jump ring. They all fit perfectly together, these findings. So your jump rings are outer diameter 6 by 1. So I think your inner diameter would probably be a 4 by 1. So the 6 is from this point to this point. Sorry. From this point to this point, and the inside would be about 4 millimeters. And then the 1 is the gauge of wire. So it's a 1 millimeter gauge. So in a gauge system would be 18. Is that right? 18 gauge? Yeah. So they're nice and strong and sturdy, but you can see they fit through the loop on the callotte. Really lovely. There's that wiggle room. So it slides. You're not putting any of the pressure on your tiger tail. None of your stringing material is rubbing against any of the metal there. Those findings are being protected by the callotte and the jump ring. And then same again on the other side. I'm just going to give it a little open up. I'm going to slide that onto the other end of my necklace. And then to close it, I'm just going to take it back away from me, so those 2 points align. If you take it slightly past the point where they both meet, then it should spring back. It's got that lovely memory to it. So then I've got my perfectly closed jump ring, and then I can just attach my necklace like so. So that is my lovely necklace. If I was to make a bracelet, I'd probably, for an 8-inch bracelet, I'd probably cut about 9 inches of the tiger tail. So I've got a little bit extra either side, and that just helps me grip onto something when I'm putting my callottes on and my crimp beads. And I would just probably follow a similar pattern to what I've done in the necklace. You might want to change it up, but use different colours if you've got more than one kit. I'm going to make a little pair of earrings, so I'm going to take another 2 ball pins out of my kit. Again, these are rhodium plated. They're all nickel free, all our ear wires and things like that. At a point, have I got my ear wires out? There's a pair. Yeah, they're nickel free, but they've got that lovely kind of finish to them. So your metals really do match those spacer beads. Joanne says the olive and the blue does really go nice together. Just Me's in as well, saying thank you for all your great tutorials. You're most welcome. Thank you for joining me. And Jan saying thanks, Natalie. These are so pretty. I love the shell. I like the shell too. So I'm just going to pick 2 pretty blues, and I'm also going to pick the pretty greens. Ooh, look at that. Help if I was in shot, really, wouldn't it? So, you're going to have a difference on each shell. I just want to take a couple out so you can see, the different kind of banding almost on it. Oh, look at that one. Can you see that little circle on the inside of it? Like that little band. So I'm gonna, you can just pop those directly on your pins. You can add your spacers if you want to. So I'll probably go blue and then green. You could, if you wanted, change them up, and you could have one earring in one order and then the other way. You can put them on any order that you want to. Of course, I am mixing up the colours here in your kit. You will just be buying the kit with one colour in it. So if you do want more than, you could always buy the extra shell disc separately. You didn't have to buy a whole other kit if you didn't want to. You could just buy your, your spacers or your shell disc beads. But actually, I think for the price of the Shayla Shell Jewellery Suite today, it's only £6.99, and you're going to get plenty in there. So I'd suggest multi-buying, but that's entirely up to you. So you can do a turned loop like before, or you can do a wrap loop with these. It's up to you how you want to create them. I'll show you a wrap loop just because I did the turned loop before. So I'm going to put my round nose pliers in, and I'm just going to use it towards the tapered end, so away from my handle, and I'm going to give that a little bend. Again, I think I'm going to bend it forward, and I'm bending around the round nose pliers, so you can see when I take out my pliers, there's a little bit of space between the shell bead and the pin. It's not fully flush, that bend. I'm then going to readjust my pliers so they are going to sit above and below that pin. These are wanting to kind of flip and twist a little bit. I'm then going to bring the pin all the way over and then reposition again. And then I tend to swap hands. And I'm just going to take another pair of pliers just to bring that end all the way around. So you can see it's kind of like a little scarf. I've done that a little bit wonky, but you get the gist. And then I'm just going to wrap that tail end round. I think I've probably made the loop a little bit bigger than I need to, so I'm just going to readjust. So I would just bring the front and bring that around the back, and then I'm going to tuck that end in, and I would use it to fill that space between them. Again, I've not done that as great as I should have done. I mean, how many wrap loops have I made in life? But there you go. In fact, do you know what? I'm going to redo it. So I don't want to have too much of a gap between the bead and the spacer. So let's see if I can do it again and get it right. And we'll talk about what went wrong. So my round nose are going to go in. I only want a little bit of space between the top of that bead. I'm going to bring the pin all the way around, readjusting my hand. So I'm keeping the round nose pliers in place. And I'm going to tilt it up a little bit. So when I bring that round, that first wrap should be nice and close. So I'm going to take the tail end and I'm just going to bring it round the back and then round the front and then round the back again. So your ball pins are usually soft enough for you to be able to turn a loop. I'm not going to have excess wire there I'm going to need to cut off, but I am going to need to make sure I tuck it in. So I'm just being a little bit cautious as I go around. I don't want to be putting any pressure on that shell. So I don't want to chip the shell. I just want to put the pressure of my pliers onto that little bit of pin on the wire. I'm trying to get really close so you can see. So I'm just tucking that little bit in. And you can see that's just now filling the space between that little loop at the top and the bead. Ellie says, beautiful beads, brown and orange for me. Rachel says, love these as well. Thanks. So if you want to just do a turned pin, I'm going to bend it right close at the top so there's no space between the bend and the bead. I always bend first and then I cut off. So again, I only want about 1 centimetre from the bead and pin. And then I'm going to take my round nose pliers, making sure it's fairly flush so there's none sticking out on the other end. I'm going to give it a little flick and little rotations of my wrist just to get that loop sitting nice and straight at the top of the bead, and then I can attach in my ear wires. So I've got a little loop at the bottom which I can just flick up, and then I can slide on, and I can attach them this way and then just close it over. If you've made a wrap loop, you'd need to open up the e-ring finding, because of course you won't be able to open up that wrap loop, that's fully secure. However, if you didn't want to open the e-ring finding and you've made a turned loop, then you can open and close the turned loop. So I just open it a teeny tiny bit by just moving it towards me, sliding it onto the e-ring hook, and then closing it over. So in your kits today, you should have enough to make a variety of different designs, really, for a necklace, a bracelet. Where's the greeny bracelet? And a pair of earrings as well. They're all £6.99, and they come in a variety of colours. So I'll quickly take you back onto the website. You can see what's in your kit. So it's the Shayla shell jewellery. They are £6.99 on the Totally Beads website. You can choose from the blue, the brown, the charcoal grey, the fuchsia, the olive green and the tan. Lots of lovely colours for you to choose from today. And I think they just make really nice, easy wear jewellery. In fact, I'm going to put my necklace on, because this jumper just needs a necklace, doesn't it? Ellie says, beautiful beads, brown and orange for me. This neckline's probably not the best, but you can see they'd look lovely with a jumper, with a t-shirt. They do sit nice and flat, so they're really nice and comfortable to wear. If I take you back down and I'll show you how the bracelets sit, they'd all just also just fit nice and flat on your wrist there. I love the colour of this, it's so pretty. Camille says, lovely mate, Natalie, have a great day. Anastasia says, peace and love, Jan, and hopes your weekend was nice. So thank you for being with me today. I'm going to be back with you on Wednesday this week. I'm going to be making bracelets and earrings. So I started making earrings and I thought they're really nice. They're a bit simple, like they're an easy make and they're a quick make, and I kind of wanted you to get a little bit more for your money and your tuition. So I figured I'd make a bracelet, and I've done them in wire, but they're really straightforward to make. You're not wrapping or weaving, you're just twisting one piece of wire. And we've got the most gorgeous mix of sparkly colours. They're really lovely. Jan says they're just lovely. Thank you, Natalie. Have a great day all. And Jan is saying, hope we've all had a good weekend too. So thank you so much for joining me. As I say, I'll be back with you on Wednesday. I hope you all have a lovely, lovely week. Make sure you're sharing anything that you make. I'd love to see what you're doing. So if you are on Facebook, then go and join our Totally Beads Handmade group. You can see the link in the description, probably just underneath me somewhere here, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. And if you've made a necklace like this, or you've used these components and you've done something completely different, then I would love to see it. So do tag me, Natalie Patton, there's my name, and let me see all of your lovely creations. Jan says, I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Thanks so much, Jan. So until